In a secluded Hmong village nestled deep in the mountains, the elders gathered to prepare for the funeral of Chao Xiong, a revered leader whose sudden death had cast a shadow over the community. The funeral rites, lasting 7 days, were intended to honor Chao and guide his soul safely to the land of the ancestors. But from the very beginning, something felt wrong. The shaman, an elderly woman named Nai, led the ceremonies. Her eyes, sharp and knowing, sensed a disturbance in the spiritual realm. On the 3rd day, she noticed the incense smoke swirling strangely, as if caught in an invisible vortex. The bamboo bench on which Chao's body lay creaked ominously, despite no one touching it. Chao's body had not been placed in a casket, as was the custom in their village. Instead, it was laid on a simple bench made of bamboo, wrapped in his finest Hmong garments. His face, once full of life, was now pale and still, but there was a tension in the air, as though the body was merely resting, waiting. As the days passed, the unease grew. On the 6th night, as the villagers gathered in the flickering candlelight, the air became thick with dread. The keej player began his mournful tune, but the notes came out warped, twisted by some unseen force. Nai, feeling the growing malevolence, instructed everyone to remain vigilant. Then, on the 7th day, just before dawn, it happened. Chao Xiong's body, which had lain motionless for nearly a week, suddenly twitched. The bamboo bench creaked louder, the sound echoing through the silent room. The villagers watched in horror as Chao's eyes snapped open, revealing nothing but black voids where life should have been. His skin, pale and taut, began to crack and decay, revealing rotten flesh underneath. The room erupted in chaos. Villagers screamed and scrambled to escape, but Chao's body moved with unnatural speed, rising from the bench like a puppet on strings. His once gentle hands now reached out with clawed fingers, grabbing at anything within reach. His mouth opened, releasing a guttural growl that froze the blood in their veins. "Get back!" Nai shouted, her voice cutting through the panic. She stood her ground, clutching her sacred talismans, her mind racing through everything she knew. The shaman began chanting in the ancient language, her words a desperate plea to the spirits for protection. Chao Xiong, or the thing that had taken control of his body, lunged at her. Nai threw a handful of sacred herbs into the air, creating a barrier between herself and the creature. It recoiled, hissing in anger, but the herbs only slowed it down. Nai knew she needed more, something stronger, something final. "The fire!" she shouted to the remaining villagers. "We must burn the body." The villagers hesitated, but the sight of Chao's decaying form advancing on them spurred them into action. They quickly gathered kindling, wood, and anything that would burn. As they worked, Nai continued her chants, her voice growing hoarse as she fought to keep the creature at bay. With the pyre built, Nai gave the signal. The villagers, trembling but determined, grabbed torches and set the wood ablaze. Flames licked at the bamboo bench, and within moments, the fire roared to life, engulfing Chao's body. The creature thrashed violently, letting out a terrifying wail that echoed through the mountains. Its decayed flesh bubbled and blackened as the fire consumed it. Nai kept chanting, her voice steady now, guiding the flames as they purified the corrupted body. Finally, with one last agonized shriek, the creature collapsed into the fire. The black voids in its eyes flickered out, replaced by smoldering ashes. The flames continued to burn until nothing remained but charred bones and ash. The villagers, exhausted and shaken, watched in silence as the fire died down. The air, once heavy with dread, now felt lighter. The evil that had possessed Chao Xiong was gone, but the memory of that night would haunt them forever. Nai, her face lined with exhaustion, turned to the villagers. "We must leave this place," she said quietly. "The spirits here are restless. We must find a new home." And so, the villagers left the mountains, abandoning the place where Chao Xiong had once led them. The village was soon reclaimed by the forest, and the tale of the rising of Chao Xiong was passed down through generations as a warning: never underestimate the power of the dead, for they may not always rest in peace.